If you want to see illegal logging in action, there's probably no better place in the world than to go to the Russian Far East right now. The last forests are secretly being cut down and slipped into the products that we ourselves are buying. That is not something we want to be part of.
Russia's Far East is home to one of the world's great forests. But hardwood timber, like this birch tree, is being cut and shipped to China. It is used to feed huge consumer demand in the West for cheap wood products.
Western consumers may not wittingly know it, but unfortunately we're financing a forest mafia.
Yuriy Costin has been battling illegal loggers for years.
There's
a road that runs along those hills over there. They used it to haul out the stolen forest. I caught up with them just a little ways, up the same road.
The loggers were after his prized linden trees, which are essential for his honey-making business.
That's a linden tree. It gives more honey than any other. The bees bring in 25 to 30 kilos a day from those trees.
His trees are some of the only valuable hardwoods left in the region, making them a constant target for logging.
I stopped their cars. I called the police. I called the prosecutor. What else can I do to stop them from cutting down the forest?
Many Russians have turned to illegal logging as work here disappeared when the Soviet Union dissolved. Now, a single Russian oak tree sold to a Chinese buyer can bring in enough money to feed a family for months.
They are victims. It's not their fault. They are victims because they are forgotten by the government completely. They are lost in this country.
Anatole Lebedev is a journalist and environmentalist who has fought for decades to preserve local forests. He was our guide in the Russian Far East. He says corruption keeps the illegal trade going.
Money from illegal operations goes to the pockets of officials. This system is so hard to change and to stop because it involved all the officials on the different levels.
And authorities don't seem to have the resources or the will to stop it. American forester Bryan Malakhovski works with a small team at the World Wildlife Fund. They travel through Russia's eastern regions, tracking illegal logging.
Appears these Manchurian ash trees were illegally harvested.
According to Malakhovski, some of Russia's biggest logging companies are the biggest perpetrators. They often enter forests under false pretenses with permits to cut low-value trees. But instead, they steal valuable hardwood.
Nobody cuts the low-quality trees because you don't make money on that. It's targeted absolutely on the highest quality export-grade trees.
Once the high-value wood is cut, it'll be mixed with legal timber at local sawmills.
The most efficient way to hide illegal timber, to cut it, to produce boards. As soon as you deal with boards, you cannot prove that this is illegal.
This way, they can hide where the wood came from. Small black market sawmills dot the edges of many remote timber villages throughout the Russian Far East.
It's a Chinese-run sawmill, pretty typical operation.
Malakhovski took us to one of those mills.
Ну откуда? Отсюда, из Чугуевки.
This mill is one of dozens Malakhovski's team identified. He tries to get in to inspect the logs, but no luck. He was ordered to leave.
Because we've got to go. Let's go.
Most of the wood is headed in one direction.
The Russian Far East shares a 4,000-kilometer border with China. It's an easy route for wood to funnel from Russian timber towns into Chinese towns.
You just need to stand in Suifenhe and look outside and see, 100 fully loaded train cars passing under you every day to have a sense that this is where vast amounts of the world's forests are being illegally cut down and brought into the international marketplace. That was a specific shipment that
Sasha von Bismarck works for the Environmental Investigation Agency, a US-based nonprofit group that tracks environmental crimes.
He and his team regularly travel to China's timber processing towns.
We went undercover into the factories and saw flooring being made. When we would ask, normally people would look at us blankly and wonder why we cared where wood was from or why we cared whether it was legal. We are all, when we're trying to buy a crib for our kids or trying to have a nice wood floor in our house, are participants in an incredibly destructive and criminal enterprise right now.
That consumer demand is thinning out hardwoods in the Russian Far East at an alarming rate.
Сейчас в баню греться.
Until the Russian government cracks down on these criminal enterprises, landowners like Costin are left to protect their trees on their own from illegal loggers, by any means necessary.
Расстреливал машины.
I shot up their cars and I punched them in the face.
Пока не убил, конечно.
I haven't killed anyone yet, but if they continue to cut down my trees, I might have to.